everybody. How are you guys doing? I'm Dr. Riaad Musa and welcome back to Under the Microscope, the show that takes thorny issues and dissects them from all angles. We prod and we poke and try to come up with a diagnosis and possible treatment. And that treatment is usually not simple. There's no ointment, for example, to combat hate. It's not simple. But this show still aims to get people talking and thinking and seeing different perspectives so we can at least find a middle ground and hopefully live more peacefully with each other. That's our grand, audacious goal. You with me? Ready to come along the journey? I mean, it's season 4. And this season, we're talking about xenophobia, which we call the hate movement, as it's the hatred and fear of foreigners and immigrants. In South Africa, it often leads to prejudicial and violent behavior against them. But before I get into it, I want to say, since I last saw you guys, a lot has happened. South Africa has broken a few records. Firstly, we can't not mention that we are the Rugby World Cup champions. We're the only country to win the Rugby World Cup 4 times. 4 times, bruh. It was epic. The literal blood, sweat, and tears. Our boys even scored us a free public holiday. Well done, Booker. Well done. And thank you, Uncle Cyril. After the stress of the World Cup, we needed a day off to recover. Even though it was like almost 7 weeks later. Yeah, I don't want to say African time, but yeah. Here's how South Africans responded to our win. Yeah, it was emotional, man. Someone passed me the sugar water and rubbed my chest. Our Booker brought back a little hope for all of us. Winning the World Cup united us. Everyone was so happy and proud. The country was on a high. And when the Booker toured around South Africa, bringing cities to a standstill, it was compared to when Nelson Mandela was released from prison. But, as you know, that was very short-lived because as soon as the World Cup was over, our favorite thing, load shedding, was back. Thank you, Eskom. With you guys, if there was any light at the end of the tunnel, we wouldn't be able to find it. Which brings me to the next record we broke. Well, Eskom broke. Eskom had a record-breaking 6,300 hours of load shedding in 2023. 6,300 hours. I guess it's not much breaking a record, it's just breaking down every day for like 12 hours a day. The word load shedding, I think, is just a euphemism for electricity grid failure. Electricity grid failure due to theft, corruption, and incompetence. Incompetence by our government and their tenderpreneur cronies, and the corruption has gotten creative. I must admit, I mean, people were selling rocks painted to pass as coal. Did you guys see that? We're not between a rock and a hard place, we're just on the rocks. That's a fact. That's just one of many issues with Eskom. Many issues. Medupi and Kusile, for example, the power stations built at a cost of over 300 billion rand to the South African taxpayers, it will never be fully operational. Imagine, that's like buying a full bouquet DSTV subscription, but then you only get the SABC and no decoder, even just a bunny aerial. Okay, are you getting the reception? You know? So Medupi and Kusile will never solve load shedding. They'll never do this. And it cost us over 300 billion rand. It's a joke with no punchline, only a punching bag. Us, the ordinary South Africans, we're the punching bag. The greedy tenderpreneurs involved in Kusile and Medupi were more interested in stealing the money than buying boilers that were fit for purpose or building the power stations so they could actually generate enough electricity to power our country, which could have powered our economy, created jobs, alleviated poverty, etc., etc. Electricity empowers people. With the power on, people have a fighting chance to do better and create better, more prosperous lives. I've got the power! Okay, no, wrong soundtrack for South Africa right now, people. Okay, so you might say, but Riaad, I thought the season was about xenophobia. Why are you going on and on about Eskom and load shedding and corruption? Wasn't that season 2? Okay, well, I'll tell you why. Because load shedding, along with all the other massive looting of our state-owned enterprises and institutions by some greedy politicians, their cadres and tenderpreneurs, the private sector too, bruh, corporations, it's their fault. These have all caused the continued poverty and inequality, the deterioration and ruin of state infrastructure like our hospitals, sewerage systems, roads and schools, our mass unemployment, and some of the highest crime statistics in the world. And yet, foreign nationals are being blamed for all of these issues. So it's just a reminder of who is actually at fault here. So this season, we uncover the political drivers behind the rise in xenophobia over the past 20 years, the disinformation and lies that stir the pot of anti-immigrant sentiment, the human rights violations involved, and why it's so important to know the truth, especially in an election year. Xenophobia, like our favorite thing, racism, is hatred and prejudice based on othering. Right? It has roots in nationalism and patriotism, which aren't necessarily bad things in themselves. You can be proudly South African with all the lekker gees and be tolerant of other nationalities and cultures at the same time. That's not impossible. But when you take nationalism up a level and see yourself as superior and treat others as inferior, that's a hard no. You don't want to be the post-apartheid equivalent of these people. We don't want the colonial and supremacist mentality, right? Now, warning signs of nationalist hate movements also include wearing the same hats, the wearing of military uniforms when you aren't actually in the military. Other red flags may include armbands, arm salutes, fight songs. History has taught us anything. And of course, language is also important to note. For example, when Donald Trump spoke about Mexicans, he referred to them as drug dealers, rapist folks, creating fear, creating distrust, and stereotyping all Mexican people. That's like saying all South Africans are bad at numbers because there's just this one guy.
769,820.
Yeah. And in 1972, in Uganda, then President Idi Amin expelled the country's Indian minority, calling them bloodsuckers and parasites. Yes, setting up the narrative that they stood in the way of black Ugandans' economic prosperity, when in fact their government had failed them year after year. Black Ugandans were no better off after the expulsion. The economy went into ruin, and Idi Amin himself was later expelled in 1979. He actually fled Uganda and spent the rest of his life as a, wait for it, a foreigner in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Now in South Africa, African foreign nationals are called makwere-kwere, a derogatory term used for a black person who can't speak local South African languages fluently and hails from a country perceived to be economically and culturally backward in relation to South Africa. And this creates an illusion of superiority. Like the feeling you get when in the front of the queue at Home Affairs and you look back and there are so many people waiting behind you and you just like stroll to the window like you have a priority boarding at the airport. It's a false sense of superiority. Anti-immigrant groups like Operation Dudula and Put South Africans First, and politicians like Gayton McKenzie of the Patriotic Alliance, along with xenophobic accounts linked to these groups, they use inflammatory words and phrases in their tweets. Shoot to kill, incites violence, an enemy to all depressed, unemployed South Africans with nothing to eat tonight. It's designed to stir up feelings of resentment amongst disenfranchised South Africans. And what all of this negative, vicious rhetoric does is to create more fractures in our already heavily divided society, Xenophobic words and actions don't magically solve or eradicate any of our country's socioeconomic problems. It's not like Vicks vapor rub. Can cure anything. Words of hate and incitement of violence have the opposite effect because hate is like a cancer. It spreads. So today, haters might be hating on Zimbabweans or Nigerians, but tomorrow they could turn on each other. No problem. We already see pockets of tribalism and ethnophobia in our country. This was the colonizer strategy used by the British who colonized us and by the apartheid government too. And now it's us against us. We're playing a losing game. It's like if we went to the Football World Cup, right? And we got all the way through to the finals and we played Argentina and we scored all the goals, but they were own goals. That's what fighting each other is like. There's no point. If you got beef with anyone or anything, it should be with a continuous and pervasive corruption by some people in our government and those who are literally sleeping on the job. Champion your cause by voting, by holding Parliament accountable. They the people who pass laws that affect us and who have oversight of the President and his ministers. Did you know you can write to the MP that represents your area to report any complaints or issues? Do you know this? Yeah, the checks and balances are there, so use them. Use them. Check out the People's Assembly website, pa.org.za. Don't take your frustration and anger out on the Somalian shop owner that feeds a community and who spots you when you're 2 rand short. These businesses kept South African townships fed during the height of COVID-19 when people were starving. Or the Zimbabwean business owner who employs South Africans or any other migrant workers who are here earning an honest living and positively contributing to the economy. And I guess that's the best way to end this episode. If you live in this country, whether you're South African born or from anywhere else in the world, we are all on the same side. To paraphrase the great Bongi Mbonambi, nie die wit kant of die ander kant nie, dieselfde kant. Don't be a. We want this country to work and we want each other to prosper because when you do well, I do well. And tolerance is always on trend, just like TikTok dances or bucket hats. It'll never go out of style. But hate and prejudice, they belong with these guys. So until next time, all you beautiful people, like, share, and please leave your comments below. We'll share some helpful links for you to check out as well. Be cool, be kind, peace out.